Wow, well, that was neat.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, I never heard that before. Welcome to the Noise Brigade podcast, where we're learning new things every day, and apparently computers talk to us when we aren't expecting it. Um, so, Tom, welcome.
Hey, man, what's going on?
I guess our new robot overlords are making themselves known to us. How about that?
Yeah, yeah, they wanted to know that our podcast recording was in progress. I guess they'll say the same thing at the end. It'll
I
be a mystery.
I don't know. That's going to be interesting. Maybe they won't let us stop.
Yeah, I don't know. This might just go on forever.
I, I mean, I've heard of other things that are endless, but I'm hoping this. You know, I'm going to need to sleep at some point. I got to work
Yeah, I
tomorrow.
know. I hear you.
So,
Um, yeah, I know you and I kind of got our heads together on wanting to do the Backlash pay-per-view that happened tonight. But before we dig into that, there were a couple of other things that we were going to mention. Uh, First, last week, we lost New Jack, ECW original. Um, and, we've actually talked about this. I think my first episode with you before I kind of joined you as a co host was just talking about my time as an ECW fan, going to all those shows at the arena from 98 to 2000 and all that stuff. So I got a healthy dose of watching New Jack. And I can't say that he was my all-time favorite, wrestler or ECW wrestler, but I just love the random violence in the ring. And I know you've seen the clips and stuff of him hitting people with vacuum cleaners and
oh yeah,
Nintendos and of course the trash cans and crutches and all that.
right.
Um, it's kind of sad, I guess. Last year there was a Dark Side of the Ring episode on him, and if you're unfamiliar, that's a show that's on the Vice Network, and they dive into some of these really dark, obviously given the name of the show, um, uh, just aspects and histories and stories of certain wrestlers, and New Jack was one of them. Did one last year, and right before we started recording, you actually mentioned the mass transit incident, which was something that if you're unfamiliar out there listening, that's something to look up. But the Dark Side of the Ring episode touches on that, and it's really crazy, how looking at something like that basically shaped. He was already probably destined never to show up in the WWE, but that was pretty much it,
Oh yeah,
So that was it for him, and he was always going to be, ECW to independent. That was his destiny.
right. And what's kind of funny too is, I had a friend in high school. She sadly passed away a few years ago, but her mom used to date New Jack.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she called him Uncle Jack.
Wow,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
yeah. So, and my friend, her name was Misty Bennett, and her mom used to date New Jack. So she would tell me all kinds of funny stories, but I mean, not many that I can, you know, remember off the top of my head, or that would probably be appropriate for a family friendly podcast.
Yeah,
But
I don't see that actually being something that we could probably discuss. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a shame. I'll be honest. I'm surprised he made it as long as he did. I hate to put it that way, but based on his track record and history, it's kind of a miracle that he got as far as he did in life. But very creative, very innovative. Um, he was one of the few wrestlers that I don't think there's many recordings of him out of character, because I'm pretty sure that was legitimately him. He
yeah. I
was
mean,
that crazy.
everything I see of him, everything I see from other wrestlers posting about him, first of all, a lot of them are just effusive in their praise of him, and especially Blue Meanie talking about him, and how he tried to help get the BWO over, coming out to the ring in a BWO shirt and stuff. And they all, they all admit he was an interesting character. None of them want to say anything bad about him.
Oh,
And
of course not. They were afraid he'd probably kill him.
well, but I mean, what I'm saying though is none of them want to. I mean, even now, everybody just
Right.
wants to focus on the good, which is great. I mean, and you know, you think of him when I think of New Jack. Again, I'm not as as well versed in ECW as you are. But when I think of New Jack, I think of the outlaw. I think of the gangster. I think of
Right.
that. Yeah, you're right. You couldn't put on WWE any even Attitude Era WWE. He was a little bit too extreme for. And so to hear everybody, you hear all the crazy stories, but to hear everybody come out with all of the good stories, it is nice.
Yeah, and they did a follow up on his Dark Side of the Ring, and Tommy Dreamer did a post interview about him, and Dreamer alluded to, how it pretty much as hard and edgy as he really was, which, like I said, all of his interviews are like that. Even some of the stuff that was, he's not throwing a promo, he's trying to be him, he's shooting. Dreamer alluded to the fact it's like, you guys don't know everything, and in a good way.
Right.
So it's it's one of those things that, again, like I said, I'm surprised, as kind of a heart of a life as the guy had, that he got to this point. It just, again, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned to me, and I saw you tweet about this. Someone else had passed the day before.
Yeah, so the lead singer of a band that not many people probably have heard of, but the people who have heard of them typically tend to love them, the World Inferno Friendship Society. So they're based out of North Jersey, New York. Um, Amazing band, just an eclectic sound, um, very influential in my musical development, in what I kind of opening my musical taste. So the first time I ever saw them, it was in Philly. It was with Flogging Molly, Tiger Army, and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and World Inferno Friendship Society. No idea. I had heard of Tiger Army, and I was there to see Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. No idea who the World Inferno Friendship Society are. No idea who Flogging Molly is. And it turns out after that show, I had just seen three of my favorite bands.
Nice.
So, and I'm not talking about Tiger Army, nothing against them, but they were okay, but they didn't leave a mark. Right. Flogging Molly left a mark, the Boss Tones left a mark, and World Inferno Friendship Society left a mark. Just an amazing band, just all over the place musically. They used to have a festival every year. It was called Hallowmas. And it was basically, they treated Halloween like Christmas, and they had a big festival every year. Sang a song about the Great Pumpkin. They had swallowing swords on stage, shooting fireballs. It was incredible. If you saw them, if you had the privilege to see them live, you walked away impressed.
Nice.
So just condolences to Jack Terricloth, to the band, to the fans, to his family and friends. So
yeah, and that, it's gives me an idea. I'd say one of these times we kind of talk about, and I think you really hit a nice point there, band that left the impression. And again, it's not any one particular band that everyone's familiar with. I'm certainly not, but I think that can be said for a lot of other musical artists. I think that's something we can hit on, these different bands that are artists that, kind of left impressions on us that maybe not everyone knows, and just kind of throw some, people out there. It's like, hey, these guys may have been popular 20, 25 years ago, but, or not even popular. Maybe they just kind of flew under the radar and we hit them. Maybe it's like, hey, let's just talk about them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, but let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Let's get into the Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash recap. And we're going to do it a little bit different than we normally do, because you were dealing with some real life stuff, so you weren't able to watch the pay-per-view at all.
No, I wasn't. So we've gotten in the habit of sharing notes with each other through Google Docs, and I saw your share, and I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to watch hardly any of this. And I felt bad because I was like, I really want to record, but then halfway through the mess I was dealing with, I was like, I've got an idea. And I texted you and said, I'm not going to watch it at all. I'm going to do this kind of like a YouTube reaction video, except we're not videoing, we're just audio. So it'll be an audio reaction.
And I mean, it sounds like a great idea. And this one, if we were going to do one, man, this was the show to do it. Because
Perfect. I love it.
there's a couple things that happened that it just blew my mind. And I can't wait to hear your reaction when you hear it. So let's
Awesome.
get started. So start off with the pre-show. The pre-show was pretty nondescript. Dominic Mysterio, who was going to be in a match with his dad, Ray, versus the Dirty Dogs for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. He got attacked backstage by the Dirty Dogs, living up to their name. Medics had ruled him out for the match. All right.
Okay.
So that's set up. Later on down the card, we're going to see that match. But the one match that was on the pre-show was Sheamus doing an open challenge for the U.S. title with shades of John Cena. And with all the rumors of Cena coming back, I half expected him to come out, but it was not John Cena. Would you like to take a guess at who came out?
Was it Juan Cena?
It was not. But I don't know if we'd have been able to see him even if it was.
Yeah.
He'd been in the ring too. But no, it was the WWE's resident superhero, Ricochet.
Oh, and he probably got smashed in about 30 seconds, didn't he?
No.
Okay.
They had a good back and forth match. Really good match. Made Ricochet look strong. And then they ended up still keeping the belt on Sheamus, but it looks like it's going to build to a feud because after losing, Ricochet ends up grabbing, he comes back in and attacks Sheamus, steals his hat and his jacket, puts them on, and makes fun of Sheamus.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a program we got ahead.
Yeah. And then he throws everything back at Sheamus, leaves the ring, and he's talking crap all the way up the ramp.
Wow. Okay. That's great. Prior to the backlash here, and again, I had no idea about really any of this. What you're about to talk about, other than some idea on what the matches were. I had seen that I hadn't watched the matches other than some clips, but on main event, WWE main event, which I didn't realize was still a show. Apparently, Ricochet and Ali have been having some like A+ caliber matches there, and so this is good to hear, pre-show or otherwise. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was definitely happy to see that because I think Ricochet's somebody that he's just been criminally underutilized.
Oh, 100%.
They need to get him back in. Same thing with Ali. I would love to see him come back, give him a little bit of time to get the stink of retribution off of him, and then come back strong.
Definitely.
I think he's got a huge future ahead of him too.
Definitely. And I'm a big Ricochet fan. I've talked about it before with you on here. He's from the area where I live, so I'm always going to try to follow along with what he does. So this is great. Good news.
Yes. So then we get into the intro, and the intro was narrated by Dave Bautista, who, if you didn't know, is now starring in Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
Ooh.
Which is going to be coming to Netflix. It's in theaters and limited release, and then it's going to be coming to Netflix. Looks like a really solid zombie flick. I'm in. It looks like it's almost like Gears of War meets zombies, and I'm all for that. So I popped for that intro. I thought that was cool. And then that got us onto the show proper, which started off with the three-way between Asuka, Charlotte, and why am I blanking here? Rhea Ripley, the women's.
Okay, good. I was gonna say we're in trouble here because I don't have no idea.
So, so it was a good match. Honestly, what it looked like at first, it looked like it was going to be a bad match. It looked, which is hard to believe with those three women, that you could have a bad match. They're all at the top of their game. They're all outstanding. Asuka's probably in my top 10 favorite wrestlers, not just women, top 10 favorite wrestlers, male and female, in the world right now.
Right.
But it looked like this was going to be an exhibition just to make Charlotte into the biggest heel in the company. She came out like Rick. except for like so cold and distanced from everything, and made the ref hold down the ropes for her to get in the ring, stood there until somebody came over and did it. Like, oh my God, she did such great heel work in this match. But it seems like that's what this was. This was a match initially to rebuild Charlotte heel as the biggest heel. Um, there were a lot of near falls. Eventually, towards the end, it got to be all three of them. And in the end, Rhea Ripley retains.
Oh, okay, good.
So now I'd have preferred Asuka win, but it was a great match, and it seemed like it set up, you know, a good feud going forward. No matter how they take it, whether they take it Asuka versus Charlotte, or if they take it Rhea versus Charlotte, or if they keep just all three of them going, it could be there's good storylines either way, with Charlotte and Asuka having recently held the tag titles, or the new sensation Rhea Ripley going up against the Queen Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the camp to kind of let all three, maybe kind of bounce back and forth. I'm not saying hot potato the title over the summer or anything. I'm just saying kind of, this way it doesn't get stale. I'm not the biggest Charlotte Flair fan by any stretch of the imagination. I do appreciate her heritage, and then you said it, the heel work. I
Right.
think it's great. I'm just not a big fan, but I can see a program between Rhea and Charlotte working out pretty nicely, but probably getting a little stale, and it needs that Asuka Flair to kind of stay, and not saying that needs that not Asuka Flair like she's another member of the Flair family. it just needs...
Yeah, don't even say that, because you know what'll happen? WWE will make a thing where Rick gets her pregnant too.
Yeah, if someone in creative is listening to this, then I'm really sorry to the universe.
Oh God, yeah. Thanks, dude.
But you know what I mean? It just needs that pizzazz, because that's what she is. Very over the top, but very technical as well. And I think, to me, a Ripley Asuka program works way better. But I would like to see the three of them in there, because Charlotte kind of needs to be at the top of that picture. Hate, like her, dislike her, that's just how it needs to be at this point.
Right. No, I agree. And that's going to be a recurring theme you're going to see through the night is the good heel work. I was really impressed. I mean, because let's face it, heels are more interesting than faces. They are. And
yeah.
I feel like they did really well with that on this show. If nothing else, we got awesome heel work from everybody all around. Except for Bailey's friggin' laugh, but that's that. I'll get to that later. So next match we have up is the aforementioned Dirty Dogs versus the Mysterios. Again, Dominic got beat down on the pre-show, so Ray goes it alone. And for most of this match, it's just Ziggler and Rude just beating the crap out of Ray. He's getting some offense in here and there, holding his own. There's so many near falls where he's out, and then all of a sudden Dominic comes limping down to the ring, holding his ribs. And there's not really much saying this one. Like, this was excellent heel work by them, but it kind of had to be to carry the match and make it a believable match. But like, one of the best things about it though was Ray looked like he had hurt his knee. He was playing that he hurt his knee, and Dolph's got him on the outside, and he goes, "Oh no, I hope he's okay," and then stomps on his knee. And it was just, dude, it was just the little things they were doing, like the stupid little crap like that, but it was awesome. I loved it. And I realized during this match that the Dirty Dogs may be my favorite WWE tag team that's not named a New Day.
No, they're fantastic. I was a little skeptical at first when they were first put together, because it's like, oh, here we go, two guys again, wonderful singles wrestlers. This is obvious that they don't have anything for them, so let's just put them together, because this is something that's happened time and time again. What this tag team reminds me of, and I'm sure this comparison has been made by other people, modern day Hollywood Blondes, Brian Pillman, Steve Austin. You just have that two guys that, fantastic singles wrestlers, but then one put together, man, you've got a killer tag team. And that's just what these guys remind me of.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And
so
so here's one thing, before we move on. Um, there's no Dirty Dogs merch on the website.
that's not surprising.
It pisses me off. I'm gonna get real with you. It pisses me off. You all, and even I just went on just to look to see. I wasn't planning on buying it unless something really knocked me out of the park. But there was none. Ziggler himself has one shirt, and I think it was like a kid's shirt. And I didn't even look for Rude because I figured they're probably not. They probably don't have anything. Why? Why?
Yeah, it's weird. And I know Ziggler kind of goes back and forth between being somewhat popular, steal the show, and all these different things where he has these 80s 90s really vibrant color looking type merchandise. It's funny, I went to an NXT show when Rude was at the top there, and his shirt was like number one and number two at the time,
Right.
for purchase. So it's not like these guys haven't been there before. And what's even kind of more of a sin is the fact that these guys have been tagging for quite some time now. You would think there'd be something out there.
Right.
It's kind of, think about like the Bar. Again, like those guys, I don't remember there being like this mass flux of things available for those guys. They were just put together.
Yeah.
And it took a while. Maybe we'll get something eventually.
I hope so, man. Such an underrated tag team. I love the Bar.
It's funny. There's so many of these random ones over the years that are put together that, again, in my head, when I first see them, I don't think that's going to work out. If I had been watching, again, I'll go back to the Hollywood Blondes. If I had been watching that then, as kind of the knowledge of a fan that I have now, even then I would have been like, I don't know why they put these guys together. They're both, mid-card superstars that, thought maybe they were going to be coming up, and now there's just nothing for them. So
right.
I always wonder that with some of these other tag teams, like, mid to upper mid-card, people, why is there nothing going on for them? They throw them together, and I just kind of scratch my head. And then things just start working and clicking. And I think that's what we have here with Rude and Ziggler.
I agree. So with this match, it ends up being, obviously, where this is going. Dominic comes back out, makes the Ray makes the hot tag, and he's in there for a little bit. It gives Ray a chance to kind of recoup. He gets back in, and Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio are your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
Wow.
The first ever father-son team in WWE history to hold the tag titles.
All right. Wow. Maybe we won't see any merchandise.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's why there's been none. But
yeah.
So all right. Now this is the one where I absolutely could not wait to tell you about it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So how there's and I've actually been skipping some stuff that's been happening in between matches to keep this a surprise. How there was the Damian Priest and the Miz match.
Yes.
Okay. And were you aware what the stipulation was?
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember, but I recall seeing that there was going to be something when I looked up the match card, and I just don't recall what it was.
Okay, so it's a lumberjack match.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had Judy Bagwell on a pole.
You know what? You're the second person to say that to me. I was texting Mark, and I go, dude, have you watched? And he goes, no, I'm going to watch tomorrow. And I go, there's a stipulation match. I said, it's bad. And he goes, Judy Bagwell on a pole. So
yeah, that's any time I hear stipulation, that just comes to mind.
so here's the deal. We're backstage before it might have even been on the pre-show. And Miz is talking to John Morrison, and he's like, look, this is an important match, blah, blah, blah. And so Morrison goes, I know where the Lumberjacks locker room is. I'm going to go, and I'm going to set a thirst trap because he's Johnny Drip Drip.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you know what that means. And so we go away. We go and we do some stuff. And then before this match, you see John Morrison and Miz standing there. And Morrison's eyes are like wide, like he's seen a ghost. And he goes, yeah, so about the Lumberjacks. So I went back there and I went to, scare them and make sure they did the right thing. But I swear to God, it was like they were a bunch of zombies.
Really?
Yeah. So
you gotta fill me a little bit more here.
So the Miz is like, what are you talking about, dude? And he goes, I don't have time for any of your new age, euphemisms or whatever. He goes, I got to win this match. So just make sure you're there to help me out. He goes, okay. And then so they walk off. And then you start hearing growling.
Okay.
And then you start seeing zombies come from out of the backstage area.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. So
like Sandman zombie?
Like remember the ECW zombie?
Yeah. That's what I remember. Wasn't that the first match of WWE ECW?
Yeah, the guy that Sandman fought. You're right.
Yeah. And he beat him with a cane. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So remember how I said that Dave Bautista did the intro? And
yeah.
It was in support of Army of the Dead.
Yes.
Well, earlier in the day, Batista had posted on Twitter, hey, I really wish I could make it to Backlash. I'm not going to be able to, but you might see some of my friends. And I'm thinking, he's just talking about the guys he wrestles, the guys he wrestles with, whatever. Nope. It's zombies. There was a zombie Elvis and a host of other zombies.
Why?
And here's the commentators start pretending that they're real. And Graves actually goes, no, we're not relaunching ECW again. The ring is surrounded by zombies.
All right. Yeah, I was a little bummed there until you said that one.
So what they do is on all the screens in the arena, in the Thunderdome, they put up like dilapidated buildings and stuff, and they make it look like a wasteland and destroyed civilization. And they've got all these zombies wandering around. They chase off the announce team, and then you get, okay, we're in a much safer space now. We're gonna call this match from here because we don't want to get eaten by the zombies.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so they treat it like that the whole time. They treat it like zombies, like real zombies. At one point, both Miz and Damian Priest are outside of the ring, and they're back-to-back fighting zombies together. And then they both go into the ring, and Miz is like, yeah, and he's all excited. He goes to give Damian Priest a high five, and Damian Priest kicks him in the stomach and takes him out. So, so you know how one thing before I get to the end here, you know how Damian Priest does his little thing where he pretends he's shooting arrows at the screens and
the Archer of Infamy.
Right. So, all right. During the match, John Morrison gets knocked over the barricades in the building with no fans that doesn't need barricades, but he gets knocked over the barricades and the zombies eat him, according to the commentators. Okay. Then Damian Priest pins the Miz, and the zombies all crawl into the ring and eat the Miz, while Damian Priest does his little Archer of Infamy arrow thing at the ceiling and puts the Army of the Dead logo on the ceiling.
Man,
And we go
Tell
to
me this looked a lot cooler than it sounds.
no,
Okay, good.
no, no, it did not. Um, and we go to commercial with zombies crawling over the Miz in the middle of the ring, and that's how it ended.
I'm really glad I didn't see that part.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, and I mean, they kept on talking about The Walking Dead and all these different zombie things and stuff, and I'm like, dude, like, no, why? Why are we doing this? It's not even Halloween. Like, I get the movie tie-in, I get it, but I don't know.
So are they, movie tie-in, and they, it's funny that we said it and Graves mentioned that comment. That the whole reason why I did that was because it was on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I remember supposed meetings with with whoever, whatever was the network or Vince or whatever, or a combination of the two, saying we need to interject more of the supernatural content, because of the channel, blah blah blah, whatever.
Right.
And I've always, not always, most of the time, never cared for some of the crossover stuff they've done over the years, just because it feels so contrived and so forced.
Right.
We know that the effort and some of the scripting that goes on, I get that. But whenever you try to interject, what you just mentioned sounds like an absolute train wreck.
It was. And it looked like it was hard for Miz and Damian Priest to like take it seriously, which I don't know that I would have been able to even do the match because it was just so stupid. But I feel like they made the best out of it. But surely this isn't what Damian Priest thought he was signing up for when he came up from NXT,
Yeah, it's a shame because he just really at WrestleMania, which was what, a month ago, just finally got that over the hump push.
Right.
And now you've got him. All right. Yeah. Maybe it crosses over into something else for the guy and he becomes this big actor. I don't know. But I don't know. It's a real shame because you have a lot of talented people. I'm not the biggest Damian Priest fan. I know a little bit of his work, obviously in NXT, but in TNA when he was Punishment Martinez, a little bit of his, not one of his big fans.
Right.
The Miz, to see him involved in something like that kind of, doesn't surprise me, because he, he's the guy from the real world. He has that crossover capability. But he's, over the years, shown himself to be much more of a likable, likable heel, likable wrestler to me.
Right. Oh, dude, and absolutely.
For him to be involved in this from that perspective, I hate it. Just not a fan.
I mean, the only other thing that was good that came out of it was Graves did mention him being Johnny Cage. So
yeah, good. That's cool. Yeah, because I know there was a little bit of a Twitter bit there between him and was it Ed Boon?
I think it was Ed Boon that said something about it.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. If I
am too.
If that's what we get, if this causes that to happen, it'll have been worth it. Because I'm 100% behind the Miz as Johnny Cage. But that aside, it sucked.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to go back and watch it.
No, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't. So let me get into something. I'm gonna skip ahead real quick, and then we'll go back. So there's an Icons airing right now. It's actually probably wrapping up as we're speaking right now. On RVD.
Oh, great! I've been really thank you. I appreciate the heads up on that because that's one. After the Yokozuna one, I saw that they were going to do one on him, and I was like, okay, when is this on? I like check every week.
Yeah, so that's on now. So we'll have to go back and check that out, and we'll have to discuss that one because I'm sure that's going to be great. But the next matchup was Bayley versus Bianca Belair. And again, I mentioned my first note in this is the fake laugh that Bailey uses is god awful. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, at least they got her on the card though here because she didn't have a match on either night of WrestleMania, which is just stupid to me for lack of better. I can't think of a better word to use there. I just don't understand how you can't figure out something for Bailey to do unless she was hurt, which didn't seem to be the case. But it was
Yeah. I'm with you on that part. You know, again, I didn't watch, but you know, 'cause she's done a lot of just backstage stuff, especially during pay-per-views.
right.
So yeah, good to see her on there. So what was your take of the match itself
So again,
overall?
it was another good match. It was another, I'll say excellent match between, Bianca Belair and another top female on the roster. Um, Bailey, again, this was a situation where she was pulling out all the dirty heel tactics. She was doing everything she could do, um, holding the ropes, legs on the ropes, feet on the ropes, like anything to help leverage a pin, trying to use Bianca Belair's hair as a weapon against her. Um, it was pretty good. It was a weird ending. Um, it just looked strange, the pin, and
Mm-hmm.
it was something to do with Bianca Belair used her own hair to wrap Bailey's leg and used it to cradle her for the pin. It was just strange looking and it didn't look right, but I guess that's how it was supposed to look. It was just odd on TV.
Yeah, it's funny when I was, you know, and I'm a big Bianca Belair fan, and I was looking at, you know, her work in NXT, and I thought about that, you know, has the hair as the gimmick. When she makes it up, you know, whatever to the big time, if you will, these high profile matches, pay per views and stuff. I just knew in my head that they're going to do strange things like this, and I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a great match, and I'm not taking anything away from them. It looked really weird. It looked like it was almost some kind of, I don't want to say botched finish. It might have been a jump in my video because it seemed like they were having some issues with their video tonight. I know at one point during one of the matches, it just cut to this screen with like five different screens, and one of them was just like a staircase. So I don't know if they were having technical difficulties or what over there, but it looked like it was just a quick finish. I don't know. It's just something about it didn't seem right.
Yeah.
So
So what was after that match?
so then we got into our triple threat, and before I get into the triple threat, I gotta I can't stand Braun Strowman, man. This was Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and I haven't liked Strowman in the ring, you know, and then I didn't like him when he had that thing where he was really rude to the woman when she asked for an autograph for her son, and then it turned out that the son was Kurt Angle's son, and then all of a sudden his mood and demeanor changed, and he said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And then after everybody got fired last year, when they were doing like the GoFundmes and they were doing people were doing like the collar and elbow t-shirts, and people were donating and buying shirts. Like I think CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler bought like so many of different people's shirts and stuff like that.
Right.
He went on a Twitter tirade about, oh, here we go, poor me, everybody else pay my bills. Like, dude, that's not the time for that. Like, come show some
No.
couth. And so ever
No.
since then, not only have I can't stand him in the ring, I don't like his face, man. I just nothing about him is redeemable to me. Um, but he was in this match, and MVP was, as much as I don't like him, I don't like what MVP was doing more because it builds on that same narrative where they just call him stupid.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's just,
Um,
I mean, so
uh,
he's talking about the triple threat, and he says that McIntyre's smart enough to be champ, but Strowman isn't.
eh, it's I didn't care for that with the whole Shane McMahon thing,
Right.
and it needed to stop then. It's yeah, no, not cool.
Yeah. So we go into this match, and it was a good back and forth. It was, you know, all three of them just going after each other. And at one point, there's a spot where Lashley and McIntyre are fighting their way up the ramp, and they get to the top of the ramp and they're slamming each other against the boards. And then they do the spot where Lashley goes through the boards, the LED boards, and there's all the sparks and like an explosion. And oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. Oh, the humanity. Treating it like it's the Hindenburg. And I'm just like, as much as I don't like Strowman, I think I don't like that spot more because it's just as believable as the zombies. And so they did that, and then obviously, you know, Lashley's out, so you can read what's going to happen from a mile away. They go back, you know, as they're up there, Strowman comes up and he attacks McIntyre. They get back down to the ring. They're fighting. Strowman goes for, or McIntyre goes for a Claymore. He gets knocked out of the way by Lashley, thrown out of the ring, and then Lashley hits Strowman with a spear, rolls him up, 1, 2, 3. Lashley retains.
Oh yeah, and I kind of figured that one. I mean, again, he you know, kind of has that big WrestleMania win, and that's got to be his cement through or until SummerSlam at least.
Right.
So I'm not surprised on that finish at all.
No, I'm not surprised. I'm a little disappointed, but I get it. What I'm hoping for is by SummerSlam that they can have fans. And dude, are people bowling at your house?
Well, I'm sorry about that. My cats have decided to go insane. So makes for good sad audio.
Yeah, listen, it's radio gold right there.
Yep. No,
I just heard. I thought somebody was bowling. It was like, all right.
Did you hear the gate slam?
I think so. I don't know what it was. That was pretty funny.
I have a gate that goes down to my den.
Okay.
And my cats have decided to go crazy and just slammed right into it.
Well, hey, listen, it was more exciting than some of this pay-per-view. So,
hey, I pull no punches here. This is real life. This isn't no zombies attacking, you know, wrestlers here. So, all good, all real right now.
All right. So then up next was the main event, and this was Cesaro versus Roman Reigns. And so they go through the backstory and everything that's been leading up to this, and all the stuff with Jimmy and Jey Uso, and you know, and then Seth Rollins. And so the preamble basically sets it up like this, where Roman tells Jey not to come ringside because Jey goes, "Hey man, I'm gonna be there just in case." And Roman takes that as a slight and he goes, "You know, you're starting to sound like your brother, so I don't want you at ringside. Maybe you should go find him." And he gets all offended.
Okay.
So sowing the seeds right there for a turn. All right. We have the match, and the match is good. No interference whatsoever. Nobody gets involved. It's just a straight back and forth, brutal match. Good match. A little bit slower pace than I would have liked to see, but it was a good match. My biggest problem with it was that the commentators, from the moment Cesaro was coming down to the ring, they just kind of treated him like, wow, he should just be happy he's having this match. Like, they talk him up, and then when Roman Reigns comes down, they're like, oh, yep, he's had 750 championship defenses, and he's won so many titles, and Cesaro hasn't had any of anything. He's just, you know, this is the first time he's ever had a championship match, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, no. Why you're completely undercutting your challenger here? What are you doing? And so that bugged me from the start. You know, they went back and forth, and there was a point where Reigns actually had his shoulders down, and the ref didn't count. And then it was like he remembered, oh shit, if their shoulders are down, I've got to count.
Is that how this works?
Yeah. So so like 5 seconds after his shoulders have been on the mat, he starts counting and he gets to 2, and then Roman kicks out. They get back up. They go have a little bit more back and forth, and then they end up Roman gets Cesaro locked in a guillotine, gets the submission, and the match is over. So you think that that's where it's going to end, with a very
Ooh,
strong
okay.
showing from Cesaro, even though the commentary team made him sound like crap. So then Jay comes down, and Jay's got the lay in his hands, and you're looking at things, and you're just kind of like, all right, where's this going to go? And Jay's kind of getting into the ring really cautiously, and he's looking at Roman, and he kind of stays bowed down, and then he puts the lay on him, and then Roman says to get him. So Jay goes after him, and Jay just beats the ever loving crap out of him. And you keep waiting for somebody to come make the save. And whose music hits?
Mm. If I were to guess, I'd say Sheamus, but that's just maybe impartial.
Oh, that would have been great, but no. Seth Rollins' music hits.
Hmm.
So Seth Rollins comes down to the ring in this ridiculous suit, because apparently that's his new gimmick, is he's dressing strangely. Um, Comes down to the ring, hops in, stares down Roman Reigns, then smiles and laughs and starts kicking the crap out of Cesaro.
What?
Yeah. So he's still pissed off about his loss at WrestleMania to Cesaro.
Ah, okay, okay.
And so he just goes to work and just beats the crap out of him. Just absolutely destroys him, screaming at him, "Do you know who I am? I'm Seth freaking Rollins." And does that several times. Leaves him laying in a heap outside the ring. And the show closes with Seth Rollins standing in a ring being told that he sucks by the crowd. So that's your Backlash recap.
That's, you know what? Um, Outside of the zombie thing, it sounds like there was a lot of solid wrestling for, I'm not going to say throwaway pay-per-view. These are kind of like the fast lane of the spring.
Right.
You know, just not going to be a WrestleMania or a Survivor Series or those the big four, if you will. Not one of those. I'd say, yeah, outside from someone that hasn't watched it, just using that, I'm gonna say that sounds like a good 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean
Am I
that's
right on
about right.
that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like you hit it on the head with that one, because it's not, it wasn't a terrible show by any means. Um, it did everything competently. It didn't do anything exceptionally.
Yeah,
So I feel
and
like
that's
6 out of 10 is fairly on the nose. And that's even taken into consideration the zombie match.
yeah, and that's the thing. I know. Again, I'll use the Eric Bischoff that wrestling is a statement that wrestling is a buffet. And there's something for everyone. That's obviously one thing I'm going to avoid. But as a wrestling fan, I still have a hard enough time thinking that there's going to be enough of an audience that finds that cool.
Right.
That's like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Outside
Exactly.
of maybe like, oh, hey, look, I get it. There's all these people that really like zombie movies, and there's a huge, Batista fan base, and really he's called a lot more of a fan base ever since Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, so he has this like outside of wrestling, fandom now, and maybe there's some crossover, you know, stuff that Vince has always done. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. I just don't think it does what he thinks it's going to do.
Yeah. And I mean, at one point it did. There was one thing that I failed to mention during that, and it looked like it might be getting interesting at one point, because when Damian Priest was on the outside, some of the zombies attacked him, and and one of the zombies grabbed another one that was between him and Damian Priest and threw that zombie aside. And this zombie that did that was a big, tall dude. Looked like he could have been a different wrestler. And So he went after Damian Priest, and Damian Priest ended up having a little trouble with him, but he ended up beating him. I thought that was going to end up being somebody in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to do it that way, and that was going to be like their interjection into the match, or whatever. But it wasn't. It was another zombie that just happened to be bigger. So if they would have done something like even something like that, it would have been worth it because there would have been a storyline, some kind of storyline swerve.
Right. And maybe you caught something too. Sometimes it's those little things that are on screen for 10, 15 seconds that they end up pulling and using for a subsequent Raw, SmackDown, because these crossover events generally are more than just one offs. They always have some other like commercial or some little promo on a show where something else tends to come back around. So maybe there's something else, maybe with that.
Maybe, but I just don't at this point. I don't give their long term storytelling that much credit.
Yeah, you're probably
So,
right.
so that was Backlash. It was a solid, if not spectacular, pay-per-view. I would not say it was spectacular at all. I would say it was solid. It was not something that if you didn't see it and you heard this, I mean, maybe you want to check out a match or two, but it's not something I would say you gotta rush and go watch right now. No instant classics on the card.
Yeah, I think this makes for an interesting recap episode too, because every other one we've done, we've both watched it, and it was like we're just kind of going back and forth with our opinions. This, you're just kind of like going off of what you watched, and mm, and I'll be dead honest. If anyone's listening to our thing here, I had no idea on anything. I knew some of the matches going into it, and the only thing I had known about the entire night you and I started talking about before we recorded was you had tweeted about Dave Batista's music hitting, and
Oh no, it
now
wasn't his
knowing,
music.
oh, it wasn't his music.
No,
Okay.
no, no. It was he did a spoken intro.
Oh, spoken intro. That's right. So you had tweeted about that, and I thought his involvement was going to be a, a bit more than just how you end up explaining it to me here.
Right.
um, but it makes sense with the crossover involvement with the movie and all that. I'm And then the other part of me is kind of like, wow, I'm surprised that he's even involved at all. So that is it was kind of cool to see his name even thrown out there, because Dave Batista Backlash, I didn't put that together at all
Right.
prior to tonight. So
Yeah. So I had no idea until today when I saw, and again, I thought maybe it was just, you know, him. That I figured the tweet was just him saying that some of the guys that like maybe Triple H or Ric Flair or somebody would be on, like, or even Randy Orton, just somebody from Evolution would be on or something of that nature. And I did not put two and two together with the zombies until I saw the friggin' zombies.
yeah, that would have been cool to see something happen from Evolution, but obviously we're speaking from the wrestling fan perspective, and there's probably lots of money that was made, even though I don't think there was.
I'm wondering though, maybe Rick was in with the zombies. I mean, they kind of move the same.
At this point, they do. Yes,
That was
yes.
terrible. Rick, I know you're listening. I'm sorry. Ric Flair is definitely a listener of our podcast.
This will
I
get back to him, and
apologize.
that'll that's what will get us canceled.
Yeah. Rick, if you're listening, it was a joke, buddy. It was a joke. We love you.
Too good. Well, I say that was it was good. Do we have anything else we want to wrap this up with?
Um, I think that's it, man. I think that covers everything at this point. I think we've got our little our next show is already recorded. It's in the can. It'll be posted on Thursday. So listen to that. It's going to be some stuff that we had on the docket and just never really got to. It was going to be posted tomorrow, but I don't want to post two of them back to back. So we're going to give it a couple days, let the A's breathe, so to speak.
Yeah.
And,
Little spoiler. That was ooh, that'll be like a bonus episode.
yeah, see?
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. That's how we do it here. We're giving you the bonuses, guys. So make sure you listen.
Yep. Awesome. Well, good deal.
Tom, my brother, it's been good. I will talk to you later.
Yes, sir. We'll do it again.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Yep. See ya.